just did right there was pour about 4 ounces of silver using the lost wax casting process. What I'm going to do today, try to do today, is explain the different steps we need to execute to perform this process. Excuse me. And there are 5 different stages that we're going to go through. I have over 17 years experience in this field, casting bronze and silver for myself and different clients across the country, around the world. Why does this process matter? Well, I know that over half of us here today have castings in our bodies. So they're used for joint replacements, engine blocks, jewelry, teeth. Castings affect all of our lives, so I intend to show you a little bit today as to how they're made. According to Dr. Haran of Arkansas State University, the oldest casting to date is was dated 3200 BC. It's a little copper frog found in Iraq. So this process has been in use over 5,000 years. So it's been around a while. It's been enhanced through technology, but it's basically the same principle. The best way to explain this is with the progression board, which I'm going to use here. And we're going to start with our original. Whatever you want to cast, you create the original out of wax. We use wax because it's malleable, it's easy to work with, and it melts away cleanly. It has a lot of nice properties. So we're going to use our original. We're going to make that out of wax. And then the next stage, once we have that the way we want it, is to do what's called spruing. Now, spruing is the process by which we attach little wax channels to our original. And later on in the process, these channels are going to allow the bronze, allow the metal, whatever you use, to get to your original. It's going to feed that. So once we have our original sprued up, our apple sprued up here, the next stage is going to be that of molding. We're going to take our sprued up original, we're going to put it in a flask like that. And then we're going to mix up some fancy plaster of Paris. It's basically all it is. And we're going to dump the plaster into the mold. We're going to cover this original up. We're going to fill this flask full of plaster. Going to give that about 30 minutes to set. And then we're ready to go to the next stage, which is burnout. We're going to take this whole thing filled with plaster that's already set. We're going to put that whole works in a little oven or a kiln that I have here. We're going to bring that up to temperature. All of the wax is going to melt out of this, and that's going to leave us with a cavity in the plaster where the wax used to be, if that makes sense. That's where the term lost wax comes from. We're losing the wax, we're melting it out, and we're giving us somewhere to pour our metal into. Okay? So, we start with our original in the wax. We sprue that up. We pour plaster on the whole thing once it's in a flask, right here. And then we put the whole works in an oven and melt it out. At this point, you're ready to get your metal ready. You weigh it out, you bring it up to temperature. Prometheus Foundry in Kentucky, who's kind of an authority on casting these days, states that if you're casting bronze, your metal temperature should be about 2200 degrees, and your mold temperature should be about 1500. So once your metal and your mold are at the proper temperature, you're ready to cast. So you're pouring your metal into the mold where your wax used to be. That's lost wax casting. Once it goes into the plaster, the metal cools, and there's your casting. I prefer to use a vacuum process. Vacuum casting was developed in the 60s, and according to MK Technologies' website has a really nice breakdown of vacuum casting history. They state that it was developed in Germany, but never really utilized until the 70s when the Japanese adopted it for car manufacturing. So it was used in engine blocks, car parts, so on. And now it's used all over. It's used for joints, creating joints for medical industry, aerospace technology. The reason I use it is it gives a nice, clean casting. There's a limited need for sprues because that vacuum is sucking that metal into all the areas of the mold. The vacuum is helping the metal get to where it needs to go. So, better quality casting, little simple procedure, nice, delicate, fine castings. That's why I use it. So, start with our original, sprue it up, mold it, burn it out, and cast. Once we're cast, and that's cooled off, we get to break out. We break all that plaster away, it's no longer necessary, then we have our metal with all the sprues still attached to it. The sprues are now metal as well. Those are our channels that fed the original. They are no longer necessary, so we cut them off and we're done with them. And then we have our casting. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, the lost wax casting process. We're putting metal where wax used to be. That's basically all it is. And it's been around for over 5,000 years and has been enhanced with technology but hasn't changed a whole lot in that period of time. And like I said in the beginning, it's touching all of our lives. There's none of us here that have something that doesn't have something that was not used with this, created using this process. Thank you for coming.